Well, good afternoon. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Great to have you here. Tonight follows the orientation day that we have for all our Year 7 students for 2023. And that was a really great success. It gave your children, our future students for Year 7 2023, some time to get to know each other, to get to know the staff. If they are unfamiliar with the school and joining us for the first time, to get to know some of the geography of the school and look at the wonderful resources that we have from the Ag Centre right the way through to the hangar, etc. Tonight is about giving you as much information as we can about Year 7 for 2023. There will be some of you who are familiar with the journey of high school, but there are others of us who start that journey of high school with our children for the first time. Can I have a bit of a show of hands of who's here for the first time as a parent of a high school for next year? So, yeah, about half of us. Well done, you made it so far. It's an interesting journey ahead with teenagers, and we know all about that journey. We've been doing it for many years. I've got a seasoned team to help you on that journey, and we look forward to it. Because secondary school is an adventure, but it is also getting to know our students, and as they dive deeper into subjects and perhaps start to think about what they might do when they leave school with post-school opportunities and really show an interest in certain subject areas. So it's an interesting journey, and it's an exciting journey, and it's one that we are looking forward to partnering with you. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I can see familiar faces in the crowd because many of you I've done a Twilight tour or an enrolment tour with. But if you are in a partnership and you were unable to be there at that time, my name's Reverend Louis Stringer. I've been here for 7 years. Interestingly, I was just looking at some figures today, which were the 2015 to 2016 cohort, and we went from 18 to 19 students in Year 7 that year. Amazing that 7 years on, and now we're steady with between 70 and 80 students in our year groups, and that's something that we want to maintain as we move forward. With that growth, of course, comes great opportunities, comes great resources, buildings, new buildings, but also the gathering of a team to really equip our students for the road ahead. And I look forward to introducing you to some of those team members during the course of this evening. So what do I want to talk to you about briefly? It's a year of growth in executive function, and that's a scary thing. Having 5 children, 1 boy and 4 girls. I've still got 4 girls at the school currently. My eldest, my boy is currently in his 2nd year apprenticeship. He finished school a couple of years ago. Executive function, getting organised, staying focused, remembering tasks. It's a new skill for many of our students. They go from having one teacher in primary school generally who looks after them for everything, who is the mother hen, who takes them for all their subjects. They have one room, it's all organised, all laid out, all prepared for them, to high school, where they've got some wonderful opportunities, but it comes with probably 10 specialist teachers in different classrooms, asking for different homework tasks to be done and different assessments to be done. And so this process in Year 7 of getting organised. And as parents, we haven't quite learnt to let go yet. And when we see them the day before assessment tasks saying, can I have a hand with this mum? Or can I have a hand with this dad? And there's a huge assessment task due the next day. It's a difficult thing to cope with, particularly when you've probably had a long day at work as well. And year 7 and year 8 gives us an opportunity just to let go a little bit. Allow them to fail a little bit so that they can understand that, hey, I need to get a little bit better at this. So executive functioning, planning, prioritising, focusing, remembering is really important because they're becoming a bit more independent. So that covers parents letting go and setting healthy boundaries to thrive in. So there are deadlines and there are school rules, and there should be rules at home as well about how late they should be staying up, and dare I say how long they should be on their devices and whereabouts they should place those devices when they're doing their work. Should they be lying on their bed with their laptop trying to do their assessment tasks? Probably not. Probably not a good idea to do that. Probably better to have a place where you work and study, and we can help you with that. And so our team is there to assist you. We do have parents as partners evenings where parents can come and ask the question, look, just how much Wi-Fi time should my children be getting? What about this mobile phone business? What does that all look like for a teenager? And you will get the response from your teenage children, oh, Mum, Dad, you are so strict. Everybody else gets to. Well, if you're coming to parents and partners, you can see as parents that not everybody else actually gets to do that. There should be some boundaries and some rules in place. I've got to say that the secondary teaching team and the primary teaching team, in fact our entire staff, I have the absolute privilege of leading and being a part of. Their expertise, I would argue, is second to none. Their dedication to your children, you will experience, is phenomenal. And their willingness to respond to any queries that you might have on this journey, you'll find very supportive. We do see it as a partnership. It's an absolute partnership. It's not that we operate and parents need to stay out and over there whilst we do our thing as professionals. That's not it. We're bringing up some beautiful children that are full of potential in so many different areas. And at times it can be tricky. And you will all experience sometimes where it is indeed tricky over your secondary journey with your children. Particularly when they get into those teenage years, dare I say year 9, where they do try on that independence early and feel they've got it all mapped out and they don't need you anymore, and they start making rules up themselves, and it gets really quite difficult at home. We've got a team that want to partner with you on that journey, who can provide you support. If you need some advice, if you've got some issues, if you're having trouble with your communication with your children, at any point in time, we can help, and we're going to introduce you to some people that do that and do that willingly. So to get that partnership working is to secure success. We want success for all of our children here, and I've got to say that, look, that is different for every child. For some, it is leaving in year 10 and getting an apprenticeship. For some, it is scoring a 99 ATAR. For some, it is getting early entry or into a job of their choice. For others, it's getting into St George Illawarra and becoming part of their rugby league team. Many different roads and paths. Children full of potential, and our job is to find out what that is, help them on that journey, and support the parents along the way. So I'm going to ask my captains up because our captains, Claudia, I'll talk to first, and Hayden, have been on that journey. And I'm going to ask them a couple of questions. They know nothing of what I'm going to ask them. Because part of a good captain needs to be able to think on the spot. Isn't that right, Claudia?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Claudia, we've got quite a few Year 7s here for next year. You've been through this journey of high school. Do you remember Year 7?
Yes.
Can you give any of our students here some of your top tips for success in Year 7? You've got that one?
Yeah.
Okay, give us some top tips.
My top tips would be get enough sleep. Sleep is really important. Plan your assessment tasks. I know it can seem really overwhelming, but you'll get there eventually if you plan it out. And they would be my top tips.
Excellent. Good response. Excellent choice of captain. Hayden, let's see if you're up to the task. Look, I've got to say I was very impressed last night, because last night you got an ambassador award. So not only are you a captain, you're an ambassador. Can you tell me first, before we go on, what that means?
Yeah, so I'm the cross-country ambassador for OAGS. I basically help kids all the way from primary through to secondary on their cross-country journey through that sport. For those of you who don't know, that's just running stupidly long distances. But yeah, I help coach them, help give them some tips and tricks for their races and so on, just try and encourage them and support them.
Thanks, Hayden. Now, I would argue going through secondary school is a bit of a race of its own. If any of these students during the course of their 6-year journey through high school needed a bit of help and support, what sort of help and support is out there for them?
Yeah, so I think at the school there's lots of help and support. I know personally I find English is my worst subject, but even when I'm having trouble with something, my teachers are always there. I can come to them after class, there's support that way. We also have a counsellor, so if you're anything on your mind, stressed, work, school, sport, anything, they're always there to help. And I find just teachers, counsellor, even the sporting coaches that also are teachers, but particularly if you're having trouble with the sport or anything like that, there's heaps of support out there.
Thank you, Hayden. Claudia, 10 for 10. Well, can you tell me a little bit about what you do as 10 for 10?
So this year I was selected amongst 10 other students in Year 11 to be in a program called the 10 for 10 program, and we were paired up with a mentor who helped me through Year 11. Mine was Michelle Price-Jones, and we got to go on excursions with Andrew G to Parliament House, which was really awesome because we got to experience what it's like to be a politician.
Thank you. You thinking of becoming a politician, Claudia?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I used to hold you in high esteem. Claudia, you talked about some memories with 10 to 10. Obviously, great experience on that road to politics. But tell us about your 6 years. What have been some of the favourite memories, perhaps, and I'll ask you as well, Hayden, but what are some of the favourite memories that you have of your secondary school experience?
One of my favourite memories was the snow trip we went on this year. It was really fun, and we got to bond with our year group a lot more. That was really fun, and all the sports carnivals, such as the swimming carnival, and that is a really great day for everyone to come together, and it was really fun celebrating sport together.
Thank you, Claudia. Hayden?
Yeah, well, Claudia's just stolen a few of my answers, but I'll try and come up with one and narrow it down. I think personally I love my sport. As Reverend Stringer said, a sport ambassador. But I think the sport program every Wednesday, that really helps to, connect people, and you help to introduce other people to other people. Especially in Year 7, that can be really helpful. If maybe you're not keen on, introducing yourself during the playground or during your breaks, that sport program puts you in groups and you can, interact with your peers, and that helps build relationships for the rest of school. So, yeah.
Thank you. Two wonderful examples of our student population here. They are fine examples of students, great school captains, one of many, two of many students at the school who are outstanding students but great community members, and I think they deserve a round of applause for what they've done. I'll now hand over to Mr. Brown.
All right, well, evening everyone. My name's Tim, for those of you who don't know me. It is fantastic to be here with you tonight. As I said to your sons and daughters just last week at the orientation time, we've been putting a lot of time and effort into thinking about them. Your kids really matter to us, and so tonight I just want to spend just a couple of minutes. There's lots to follow, so just a couple of minutes about a few of the areas that might be helpful for you. So the first one, Mrs. Hutchinson, she's well practiced at this. We've been practicing this all day. So thanks, Mrs. Hutchinson. The first one I wanted to talk about was just your daily organisation. I guess what's on the mind of a Year 7 student as they're coming? Does anyone know it? This is a shout out opportunity. Does anyone know the date? Okay, see, that's the reason you need to come to an orientation night. Friday, the 27th of January, well done. You're in for the toughest week of your life, one day at school. On that really, really tough week, you're going to come in, you're going to meet teachers, you're going to have some sessions in peer support, you're going to be setting up devices, you're going to be getting yourself organised. It will really be an orientation type experience in your school uniform, because we're really mindful that it can feel quite overwhelming as you start, and so that's really what that first day is like. You'll then go home, enjoy a lovely weekend, and so the vibe will change from chilled out Friday to motivated Monday, and you'll come back and that's when you'll start proper. You'll actually kick in with your timetable. The timetable will see you moving around the school, going to places where we will have previously visited, and then starting on with your learning. So that really should set you in good stead. When will you get your timetable? Sometimes people ask questions about that. You'll get that at the start of the year. When will you know your classes? You'll discover your classes when we start the new school year. In terms of just managing yourself, so one of the big shifts, if we go to the next slide, is just managing all your possessions. So gone are the days where you just be able to happily bring your bag and put it in the locker and everything else was safely stored in the classroom. Yep, you know this. I think you've seen plenty of them around. You know that the lockers are going to be your safe refuge. Parents, it will be really helpful if you can assist your children just with labelling all items. I know that feels like I'm speaking to people that have not parented before, but sometimes good habits in primary school might have dropped off the radar when you get to secondary school. So if you can please help us out with that and help set your kids up for good routines, good habits as they settle into school. They'll obviously have possessions that they need to store in the lockers, because they're going to be studying 10 different subjects. In your information kit, there's information about what you'll need for each of those, but I won't go into details about those now, except to say you need to come prepared for that. The next slide, we're going to think a little bit about uniform. So in terms of uniform, in your pack, the first thing I omitted is the date. So the first day, there's lots of important dates in that information pack as well for you. But in that pack is also our uniform guideline, where you can read through details around, hey, what's part of our formal uniform? What do I need for summertime? What do I need for wintertime? Oh, they're pretty much the same, just a couple of minor adjustments. And what's the sports uniform? You can find all that out there. And importantly, if you're a new parent, you'll also see in that pack that there's information in there for you about purchasing uniforms either new or second-hand. If you're wanting to purchase any second-hand uniform items, we've got a fantastic P&F, and they've actually got an event planned for Wednesday the 23rd of this month, and so can I encourage you to get along to that. If you're wanting to purchase new items, you do need to book into Orange Clothing Company. So give them a call, say that you'd like to come in, they set you a time, they fit you out, and then there's also a bit of a delay. Hopefully it won't be as bad as what it was with COVID last year, but that delay can mean that there's an extra conversation that happens with children at the start of the new school year about going to school without all the correct uniforms, and that can, for some, can create real stress. That's not a problem if that happens to you, but certainly I'd encourage you to get started on that process as soon as possible. Our uniform matters. We're really proud of our uniform. It's really distinct. We like it when students wear it with pride. We're looking forward to seeing them wear it with pride at our Anzac service this Friday, and we want you to wear it with pride too. So please go about that. If you've got any questions about purchasing uniforms and uniform expectations, please let us know. And the last point is in relation to coming prepared with all you need. There are lots of things to purchase. That information is in there in the kit. I will say the maths teachers have lent on me and asked me to remind you that the maths calculator that's in there, that's the one you need to get. So make sure you purchase that calculator. That'll be a really helpful thing to do. You'll be able to pick it up, no troubles. We're not sponsored by Officeworks, but they'll have it. Don't worry about that. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Watts, and he's going to come up and speak.
Evening all, my name's Rob. Excuse me, and I'm Director of Curriculum and Analytics at OAGS. I'm just going to talk briefly, don't think the next slide, or Tim, about devices, Canvas calendar, and homework. All the exciting stuff. If we can just flick through the next one pretty quick, because there's a number of devices that work at the school. Chromebooks, Apple machines, Windows, and various tablet brands. There is no right device to bring to school. Flick the next slide, please. What we're after is web access. All our systems and platforms, Canvas, Edumate, Google Docs, etc., all operate through a web-based system. So it's really about the web browser that you've got on your device. It doesn't have to be a Mac. It doesn't have to be a Windows machine. You guys know your budget. You know the devices that you've already got. And a number of the devices may well be readily appropriate for what they're using in secondary school. Most devices will last 3 years. If we can go to the next slide. When you're considering it, 3 years, you know your children better than we do. Are they droppers? Glass screens, dropping, generally don't mix. Cases could be a good investment. Do you have good internet at home? If the answer is no, because you're out of town, you might need a Windows machine as opposed to a Chromebook, which needs the internet all the time. Keyboard, touchscreen, depending on your device, they're optional. But I would certainly recommend as they progress through secondary school, out of year 7 and 8 into 9, 10, 11, 12, keyboard becomes more of a fixed option with your devices. And can you place restrictions on it? A lot of you guys would like to manage or place some limitations around what kids can and cannot access, whether that's at home or at school, installing particular software. We have no problems with that. Our network though is firewalled. It's also got state-of-the-art internet filtering, and a lot of the Norton personal VPN connections are actually a VPN connection, which means that our school will block them. So those restrictions won't work at school. So if you're looking at restrictions, just please be mindful of some of the technical aspects. And if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to get IT or myself to answer those questions around devices or possible restrictions that the school network might bring up for you. If we could jump to the next slide, please. Canvas. The COVID generation, you're probably more than familiar with anyone about online learning. So I'm not going to labour this point very much. We use Canvas as our LMS in secondary school. We actually use it across the whole school in primary. So stage 3 students would be very familiar with it as well. Our online learning system is an important part of our blended learning environment. So there is a number of resources, click your videos, questions, quizzes, assessments and submission points. But there's also handwriting and in-class tasks and discussion, so it's a balance point. Next slide, please. So what you can see is a dashboard of what your child would see when they make Year 7. All the courses are assigned to them as part of their enrolment, and it's lined up with their timetable. So for their timetable class, they get a Canvas course that goes with it. And along with that is a dashboard where they can then access those courses. They can access that from anywhere. It doesn't have to be at school. The only place you can't access it from is overseas unless you get special permission. Just for those people that might be thinking about a trip overseas. But they can certainly access it from anywhere. Next slide, please. So with Canvas and secondary school comes some changes to homework. Stage 3 or Year 6, there's a little bit of a step up in homework expectations for Year 7. So you're looking at about 40 to 60 minutes a night. But it's not always completing work. Sometimes it's revision, sometimes it's planning, sometimes it's assessment tasks. There's a variety of tasks that teachers use to help prepare students, not just for the next lesson, but for future lessons or future assessment tasks. Be proactive. It's due next week. I'll leave it till Thursday. I think Reverend Stringer mentioned something similar. Part of that organisation is an important part of secondary school homework and managing tasks. So being proactive about getting things started, even if it's just 10 minutes that night and 10 minutes the next night. Little bits at a time certainly add up. And look, we all understand that life is busy. We also understand that things happen at homes, and kids aren't always in control of what parents decide to do. I couldn't do my homework because Mum and Dad simply had to go out and visit friends. That's okay. A note to the teacher or an email to the teacher just letting them know what's happened and why your child hasn't done homework goes a long way to making sure that children are settled and calm and not stressed out about not having done their homework, and teachers understand what's going on as well. Next slide, please. So along with Canvas and homework and all these sort of things is a really useful part, calendar. So that's an example of a student's Year 7 Canvas calendar. So they've got access to this as well, which shows coursework and tasks that they might have to complete during the day for a lesson, but also things like assessment tasks and potential homework with instructions and links to appropriate things. Or it might just be a note that says go to chapter 5 in your maths textbook, complete exercise 3 to 10. So an offline task. But a calendar, a really good place to store all that information for students so it's in one place. And the last one was assessment. Everyone loves assessment. A little bit different in secondary school to primary school. So as primary school parents, you're probably predominantly used to assessment being something that's done at school for the majority of time. In secondary school, yes, there's still assessment tasks that take place during secondary school hours, but there's also a move that some of this comes home as well. And some of it's a bit more extended over time. So students get a formal notification about the task, what's involved in the task, a recommended action plan along with the marking criteria as a guide. They get at least 2 weeks notice for each task. But the big difference is that there's quite often multiple tasks underway at the same time. So we come back to that executive functioning in that organisation. Doing little bits regularly is better than one big bit the night before. So an assessment schedule gets sent out to parents and families for the semester so that you can help or at least be aware of that as well. The Edumate app or the Orange and Green Grammar School app and the Edumate portal become good points of contact for you to be looking for upcoming tasks, as well as information about how students went on tasks, because we all know that teenagers mightn't necessarily be forthcoming about how they went. I know my two aren't. But there's ways that you can find information and start conversations around what's coming up and how did you go on that task as well. So Parent Portal, I'm not going to steal too much of Scott's thunder on that one. But scheduling allows planning, and that's a really important part, and that's something you've heard a couple of times tonight already. And that's a big difference between primary and secondary is that scheduling and organisation between after hours and school based. Okay. I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Hutchinson and she's going to talk sport for you.
Hi, I'm Dominic Hutchinson, Head of Sport. So I get the joys of doing all things sports at this school. So I have the realm of rep sport, but I also look after the Wednesday sport that the kids are used to if they're already here. I look after our co-curricular or our club sport, and I also look after a little bit more of what we do just in some random activities throughout the week. So, weekly sport. So at the moment, we have our primary students, they do sport on a Wednesday. Our secondary students also do sport on a Wednesday. But rather than just staying with their year group where they're doing a little bit of their outcomes for their PDHPD programs, we do sport for the joy and for the fact of movement. So we actually get the kids moving and we want them experiencing new activities. This block of the day in the middle of the Wednesday is an awesome time for them to try something new. So at the moment, for this term, we actually have kids doing dragon boating. We have kids going out and doing golf. We've had kids going to CrossFit. We've had kids doing tennis, hockey, all these different things just so they can allow themselves to experience something new. Because sometimes investing in something for a whole term and going to training, things like that, that can be really, really big. But if I go, hey, I could try something for an hour and a half a week, that might be something I can do. So we have our Wednesday activities. So what happens is that first term in term 1 next year, Year 7 will all stay together. So it's a really good opportunity for them to grow and just get to know the new social dynamics that are coming in. New Year 7s who have been, or Year 6s who are coming through. It just gives them a chance just to bond together. So we actually go off to this one activity, more than likely 10-pin bowling. And then we go off and we do that activity, changing groups, see how we go, enjoy the experience. Then they get the choice to choose their sport for term 2. And how that works is there is an online form that they will fill in at the end of term 1. So they will actually start selecting their sport the term before. So then it goes through a process of trying to figure out the dynamics between it all. Now it's generally a first in best dress, so as soon as you get that email you fill it in, because there's about 250 students that need to be assigned a sport or activity. And then we go through the process of going through what the sport options were, what was the preference order that they wanted it in, and how we can allocate the best for every student from Year 7 through to 10. So basically we have that preference order, and that is vertically integrated. So that means that we have, for terms 2 through to 4, Years 7 through to 10 would be mixed together. So currently we have a group doing T-ball. So we have students from Year 7 all the way through. We're doing water polo at the moment as well. So we've got Year 7 students with Year 10 students doing water polo. So all these nice kind of little tasters of going, what does Orange have to offer? What might be my thing that I can do that might be my taster? All right, Orange Sport Club. This is our, you may have heard of it called our co-curricular activities. We have this thriving sport body behind OIS that is just growing and growing and growing. We've got 6 sports at the moment that we're developing. So we have in our summer season, we've got basketball, touch football, and triathlon. So in those activities, we start our selections all the way back in term 3. So last term, we put nominations out. We had people say whether they wanted to help coach, manage, or even be in a team. We put you into a team, we enter into town comp, and then we run through the season. Then we also have in our winter season, we have hockey, netball, and soccer. Now we're going into the realm of competitive soccer for the first time. So we've actually got some guys here who are some players who have gone all the way through our OX club and are going into that competitive realm. So it would be awesome if we could start building on that even more so and coming into the secondary school. Now, the awesome thing that we have introduced in the just recently is this idea of external players. So before this year, OX Club was very, very exclusive for OX students, but we went, actually, there's something missing. We actually want friends and family of OX parents and families to join in. We don't want them, to be having to miss out because they're choosing to play with school. We want to say, hey, you've got a friend who you want to play with, we've got a spot for you, do you want to play with us? And it means that we can develop that opportunity just to say, hang on, we have space, come join us, let's make the most of this opportunity. So I actually use this for my daughter. So my kids moved across from another school last year, and I actually entered her into a team before she even came to OX. So she knew before she came to OX, she knew some kids already. So coming into the playground, that wasn't an issue because she's like, hey, I've run around a touch field with you already. That's cool, I can do that. So it's an awesome opportunity. So even if you have younger siblings who aren't enrolled in OX, you have friends. So at the moment, we've got about 10 non-OX students playing in our touch football teams. We had about 8 or 9 non-OX players in hockey who, some of them are state rep players, and they're choosing to play with us because 1, the culture is amazing, 2, the support is amazing, and 3, we do really good sport in our club sport. And I think I've got one more slide. Oh, okay, so this one is, what is the difference between PDHPE and sport? So Wednesday sport, we do it for enjoyment, we want to do it because we want to be active. The next one is, so PE. This is the one that we go, oh, I either loved it or I hated it at school. Yeah. So with PDHPE, there is 2 parts to it, but it's very much, when we look at it for uniform and things like that, we have this idea that we break the lessons into practicals and theories. The practical is when the kids, year 7 through to year 10, get to wear their sports uniform another time a week. What happens is we get the timetables just before we go in, before we meet the students, so we get the week before, and we actually go through and we actually assign a PE lesson. That first time we meet the students in class, we will actually assign a PE lesson and a practical lesson. So it won't change all the time, it'll always be the same. I've got a year 7 class at the moment, so I know that for them, if I go, I've got 2 lessons with them a week, one of those is theory, one of those is practical. Luckily for me, one's Monday and one's Friday. I've said to my guys, hey, Friday's a good day to have practice, isn't it? It's a good way to end the week. And it also means a second time to not have to wash the uniform. So we start the week with all theory, we have our sport on Wednesday, and then for my class, the way it worked out, we have prac again on Friday. And so it gets scheduled into the timetable, and you'll be able to ask your child when it is, but also what we do is we also give it to the ladies at the front office as well, so they will be able to know what day your child will have prac on and what day they'll have theory. And I think that's a huge help, just knowing that, no, they don't wear their prac uniform every single day. All right, I'll pass it on now.
G'day everyone, your brains full yet? My name's Dave Whittingham. I am one of the chaplains here at our school. One of the great things about our school is that we are wholly committed to helping all of the child, all of the student. We want to develop their minds in the academic area. We want to develop their bodies in the sport area. We want to develop their creative side as well as, their mathsy side. We want to do all that. And we know there's a God who's designed us to be able to do all those things. And He's the one who ties it all together. And so we want to introduce everyone in our school to that God who loves them and knows them and really, really cares for them. Now, guys, students, when you are in high school, you are doing a new thing. You are learning how to be an adult, and everything that you learned about in primary school, you will be rethinking and reworking out. What does the world look like? What is this that I'm grappling with? And we're going to help you with that. Not everyone is going to agree with the things that we say. We have people from all sorts of backgrounds. People who have been at church since before they were born. People who have only ever heard Jesus' name as a swear word. I asked a 4-year-old, I asked a group of 4-year-olds, does anyone know what Jesus' name means? Kid threw up her hand. Oh yeah, that's the name you say when you're really irritated. So we have people from all sorts of backgrounds. And in high school, you're grappling with ideas. And there is no expectation that we will all agree in high school. We just talk through the issues. We want to provide people with ideas. We want to provide people with the tools that they need to help come to their own conclusions about God, Jesus, the Bible. We think God has great things to say in the Bible. Not everyone will agree, but we want to help people think that through. We do that in a few ways. See on the next slide. Once a week you'll have Christian studies classes with me or one of the other chaplains or one of the other teachers. We do a whole bunch of different things in there. In Year 9 at the moment, we're studying the movie The Matrix. In Year 8, at the moment we're looking at World War II and we're hearing some great stories from that. We do all sorts of things in Christian studies. You'll get your own Bible and we'll work through that. We have chapel once a week where we hear a talk. It's a little bit more like formal church. You'll need to wear your blazer to that. But we have lots of fun in that as well. Chocolate is involved. That makes everything great. Those are the things you have to be at, but then there are other things where you can explore further off your own bat, so it's entirely up to you whether you come. We have Crew as a lunchtime group, currently on Wednesdays, where people come and they just explore a bit more. Some of them are Christian kids, some of them aren't, and they're just finding out, what is this thing all about? Big Night In, that's a new thing this year. If we can go to the next slide. Big Night In, we have lots of fun. So this was the most recent one. We had it about 3 weeks ago. We had Twister on cans of spaghetti and baked beans. We had ice cream everywhere. One of those children up there is Mr. Brown's son, but I won't say which one. 2 days later, a girl was on the bus and the girl next to her said, "What's that in your ear? Something red in your ear," and she pulled out a piece of spaghetti. Anyway, we have lots of fun at Big Night In. Mostly it's games. We also talk a little bit about Jesus and why we think he's important, but we have lots of fun in doing that. Now, parents, for you, if you have any questions or any concerns, please come and speak to me. Totally accessible anytime. Want to be able to talk about your child, your student, your teenager. They are in your family and want to be able to partner with you in that. There are some things we're looking at running for parents the next couple of years. Things to look out for. We're going to be running a course. If people don't know what the Bible is all about, what Jesus is all about, we want to run a course. Your kids may come home and ask you questions and you go, "Oh, I don't know." So we want to run things to help with that. We are also looking at running, for the first time, a child-free luxury weekend with marriage enrichment. Did you hear what I said? A child-free. All you need to do to enrich your marriage is turn up. Anyway, I know you love your kids. I'll be quiet. I'd love to chat anytime you want. Thanks.
There are many different aspects of school life, aren't there? There's all those subjects you're going to be studying. There's chapel and assembly, there's the sporting life. There are all these different aspects of life, and there are two things I'd like to suggest that tie them all together. One is you, and the other is relationships. And Mrs. Johnson and I, that's kind of our realm as your pastoral care coordinators. We want to help you to know you better and how you operate in those different contexts, because that's what you're doing as a teenager. You're journeying through just finding out, how do I deal with all of this? How do I cope? What do I like? What don't I like? How do I get on with those people? What about the ones that really annoy me? Do I have to? Yes. But you can do that. Relationships are at the heart of everything we do, aren't they? Whether we're in the classroom or in the playground, as we explore things and we struggle with things, whether it's school or at home, relationships are always there. And we need help to navigate those. And so Mrs. Johnson and I, we oversee that area of high school life. So we're your pastoral care coordinators. Think relationships, and you've probably got a pretty good picture of what we do. Some of that's more formal, some of that's quite informal. For parents, raising teenagers is not the easiest thing in the world to do. Done a few myself, not done, gosh, they're still going, no, but we're getting there, right? It's hard territory for parents as well, and we need to acknowledge that. That's really helpful actually for us to say, and even to say to our kids, we find this hard too. It's a struggle, we'll get through it, we'll work on this together. So Nikki and I are also a resource for you. Call up, have a chat about how things are going at home. I'm not saying we'll have the answers, but we'll certainly be a sympathetic ear. And we might together be able to work out, well, what's a good step forward for your child in that situation that they're facing. That really is open slather. That could be anything. It could be difficulties you're finding at home, but you suspect that that's probably translating into some things at school. Call us, have a chat about it with us. It's so helpful for us to understand the bigger picture of your child. They're a young person with all sorts of experiences that they've had, with all sorts of things going on outside of school, and for us to be able to guide them well at school, it's so helpful to actually have had that conversation with you. So please, give us a call. Next year, your child is going to be in a pastoral care group, and they will have a pastoral care teacher. They don't know at this stage who that's going to be, but they do know that we're here, and they can come and talk to us. You are more than welcome to contact the school and get in touch with us at this stage as well. If there are things about your child that you think it would be really good for them to know, please do call and have a chat with us. In an ongoing basis, as the year progresses next year, your pastoral care teacher will kind of be your first port of call when contacting the school. They'll be able to guide you in that first instance. Whether or not they're the source of the answer, they'll certainly be able to point you towards the person that is. So if there are any things that you're particularly concerned about and you're not quite sure where to go and who to talk to, please contact us and we'll give you a hand with any of that.
So a little bit about some of the specifics that we oversee. So Steve's just spoken about the pastoral care program, which is a more formalised time throughout the week where you meet with your pastoral care teacher. One of the other things is Equip. So I've had the privilege this year of being that Equip teacher. So Equip is actually a subject once a week that Year 7 only get to do. It's very special for Year 7. And it actually links in with everything that we've just been talking about, plus everything that everyone else has been talking about in terms of helping you get through Year 7 and build skills in those spaces of executive functioning, communication, relationships, everything like that. So it's like a bit of a time in the week where we get to come together and really talk about and learn from each other and from some programs that we implement in that space, how to do things well as we navigate Year 7, because it is challenging, it is very fun as well. So, you know, that term executive functioning keeps getting mentioned, and I'm literally teaching Year 7 currently about executive functioning, so it is continuous. And they are hopefully getting a lot out of that as they now continue into their Year 8 next year. But for everyone here tonight, Equip is a really fun time to be able to get some specific teaching around certain things. Katie Wallace, our psychologist, she comes and visits and teaches various things as well. So it's a really unique opportunity and access point to a lot of really helpful skill building activities and programs that are facilitated during the day and the week, which is really fantastic.
Throughout terms 1 and 2 next year, your students will be involved with peer support at the school as well. They are students in Year 9 and 10 whom they've already met. In fact, on that day right there, when they came in for their orientation day, they had a lot of opportunity to interact with their peer support leaders throughout that day. And that's going to be a relationship that we seek to build throughout their first few terms at the school. it is wonderful to have a familiar face in an older year who you can see in the playground and go up and have a chat to, who's going to be there on a regular basis as you get used to life in the high school. So as you can see, a lot of this is about creating a whole lot of different points of contact. Knowing that some students are going to mesh well with one and not so well with another, so we provide lots of opportunities for your child to be able to make contact and feel known and get to ask those questions and journey with someone through that. Lots of fun activities that they do in those times, and just a lot of value that they get out of being with those older kids, including some pizza, inevitably.
And the final thing that is in sort of our realm of responsibility is camp. If we go to the next slide, there's a little picture there from this year's Year 7 camp. So I got to coordinate Year 7 camp this year, which was really fun. We went out to Springwood, Blue Mountains Springwood Lodge, which is a fantastic site, beautiful surroundings. Got to do all the fun outdoor education type activities. You know, you get to see your teachers try and abseil, successfully abseil, and bike ride and things like that. It's really, really fun, but obviously with camp comes also with some special unique challenges, I think, a lot of the time, especially given the last couple of years with COVID. Certain students may not have had that experience as much as others, which is okay, and I think just as an awareness thing, so camps happened across all of Year 7 to 10 in the middle of Term 2. So everyone goes away for the whole week, and then Year 11 and 12 get to, you know, study really hard for that week while everyone else is not distracting them. And we take Year 7 away separately as a cohort together, and it is just embedded in our program in terms of pastoral care. So building those relationships, I saw a real change in Year 7 this year between pre-camp and post-camp. It does have that unique opportunity where students have to either work through some issues because they have to live with everyone for 5 days straight, or bond together strongly as well as a cohort. So as they go off after camp, they actually end up having those really strong connections, and I think camps are one of those really strong memory points that people have from high school. And so we put a lot of effort into making sure that these camps are really successful, and Year 7 particularly, given it's the first one for secondary, is really an important one to make sure that we get right. So as we lead up to Year 7, one of the pastoral care team are coordinating it. It's really important just to make sure that we're in contact and supporting the students as they approach that, because everyone's slightly different with what they need, and that's okay. And we just want to make sure everyone has a really successful and really really fun and positive time on that camp as well. And hopefully by that picture that was taken literally on the last day prior to jumping on the bus, they're either really excited about going home or they had a really great time. So hopefully it was a little bit of both. So yeah, that's I think everything from us. Thank you.
Alrighty, I like to come along as much as anything so that you have my face to remember, so that if at any point throughout the journey, starting Year 7 or those first few weeks of starting Year 7, if things become apparent that you sort of go, I think we might need a bit of extra support around this, you might be coming to me just to sort of go, I don't know what's sort of happening for my child, but I feel like we might need some extra support. I can actually link you in with other services as well. It might not be that they necessarily come and see me at school, but it might be something that we can chat about, and I can help link you up with the relevant places that would be helpful. So look, I also do some parent workshops and things like that throughout the year, so keep an eye out in the newsletter. You know, this year we did an Engaging Adolescence program. It was a lot of fun, and it's really nice to get parents together doing things and realising, as was mentioned before, that it's not unique to one situation. It is tricky raising young people, these amazing young people, but it is still difficult in its own way. But also I'm here to help students as they're dealing with the change. If there are certain things that they're worried about with coming into Year 7, I am accessible to you throughout the lead up to Year 7 as well. So through the school holidays, if you need to make contact, I'm available via email. You know, we can make a time to catch up. The other thing that I think is important to mention, if your child has been seeing the school counsellor regularly through primary school, or you've had that kind of point of connection before, please reach out and just let me know so that you know, we've got a chance to build that rapport from the start, and if that's something they've been used to using as a resource, we make sure that we've still got that, we can ease them in to that Year 7 environment. That's it from me.
I'm the last one, and I'm fast. Sometimes. Good evening, Year 7. Yeah, okay, so we've got to work on it. You're not in Year 7 yet, you're not used to it. If you're currently in Year 6 and you're coming here for Year 7 next year, could you stand where you are? Come on, shake it out. Stand up where you are. Look at these guys. All right. If you already go to Orange Grammar, I want you to click your left hand. If you don't yet come here, I want you to click your right hand. It's pretty good. What did he say? What? Am I asleep? Well done, guys. Everyone sit down. That was a good effort. We come from different walks of life. My name's Scott Hazelton, if we haven't met, and I'm the deputy here. It's a fantastic job and it's a great school to be involved with. I'm really proud of Orange Anglican Grammar School. Having been here for 7 years means that there's some faces in this room that I first saw as they were starting their first day of kindergarten. And I got to say, guys, sitting here for an hour, that's more than a whole period. You've done it so well and quietly. When they were in kindy, they couldn't sit still for 1 second. So, hey, you guys have already come so far, and it's been a great journey so far. You're at the halfway point. The second half is yet to come, and it's great to journey with you. Thank you for coming out tonight, parents, and those students that are here as well. It's information overload. We don't apologise for that. We've just given you the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to share because we just love the school so much, but I won't because I said I'll be fast. One thing I want to encourage you parents with is, and it sounds silly, but it's a massive deal with teenagers. We are a phone-free school. Now, I'm not silly enough or naive enough to